Hi, welcome to Hello Bookseller. I thought it was time for an unboxing. Haven't done one for a while. And yes, I'm not collecting at the moment, so it's pre-ordered stuff, so that's okay. Paid for a long time ago. And I don't usually go for these sort of, what I kind of think of as ersatz limited editions, where you've got sort of standard trade books, which then get like a sort of a sprayed text block or what have you. And of course there's an awful lot that's going on. There's various businesses doing it, like Fairy Loot and what have you, and we're going to do a broken binding one today. The only ones I've ever bought have been from Broken Binding. This is from my second, probably my last, because they don't really do the sort of things that I'm interested in. I want real small press stuff like New Con and PS Publishing, really. But this is a reissue, and it's the sequel to this one, which I showed a while ago, which of course, as you see, is Perdido Street Station by China Miéville, which is very, very nice. Not a book I'm massively fond of, but it's a very beautiful book, and it was a nostalgia buy. And what really swung it for me, aside from the, as I say, the decorated text block, and you see signed inside, and of course the funny thing is they left a space there for China to sign there, and he signed down there in gold pen, so we'll see if he gets it right this time, because what I have in here is the sequel, which is called The Scar. And if you're not familiar with this, just to sort of talk about it a bit, this was kind of like the book which sort of made the new weird a thing, really. And it came out, I think it was 2000, and it was the first of the new Crobuzon books. And after this, there's The Scar and Iron Council, I think is one, so I've never read that one. And now these have terrible covers, and the fact that this was made into a Picador, because his later books are Picador, they're all Pan Macmillan. Picador, of course, was their literary fiction imprint, and was, as I've said before, the most important B format imprint in the UK, because it's what established the B format in the UK, so that was significant. So I wanted that for that reason as well. So it's very, very, very nice, and I'm going to reread it at some point, but I'll tell you a bit about it. New Crobuzon is one of these sort of city type things, and he's very big on urban stuff. There's old China, and when I read it, it just reminded me of M. John Harrison too much. Not that wanting to be like M. John Harrison is a bad thing, but you know, it just seemed to be all over it to me. And in this strange city, there's humans, mutants, and they're kind of aliens called the Xenians, and they live together amongst the sort of architecture of the sprawling city. And there's a race called the Kepri or Kefri, and they've got sort of human bodies with insect heads, and that's so M. John. That really reminds me of things like Storm of Wings and Veraconian books. And there's sort of cactus people, there's sort of amphibious water-loving types as well, and there are what they call remaids, which are people who've had prostheses, both organic and metallic, attached to their bodies. And what happens is, into this metropolis comes a character called Yagarek, who's sort of a bit of a desert race of these intelligent avian sort of beings, and he's been punished by his people, and his wings have been sort of sawn off, and he really doesn't like New Crobuzon at all. And he's trying to sort of get the gift of flight back, and he goes to a scientist called Isaac Dan de Grimbelin or something like that, and it's very, very M. John. You know, if you like China Miéville and you've never read Veraconian by M. John Harrison, you really should, because the Veraconian books, which start with the Pastel City, Storm of Wings, in Veraconium and Veraconium Nights, 3 novels and a collection of short stories, you know, they're pretty much where this stuff comes from. And even then, M. John was drawing on the influence of Mervyn Peake. If you get to the third Gormenghast book, which was put together, it wasn't finished when Peake died, it was fragmentary, and it was assembled by Langdon Jones, who wrote The Eye of the Lens, who's a new wave science fiction writer who would have worked with M. John Harrison on New Worlds back in the 1960s. So it's Harrison's reading of Peake and Miéville's reading of Harrison and Peake, and the work that Langdon Jones did, because the third Gormenghast book, which is less of a think, it's which one is it? It's First one's Titus Alone, isn't it? Is it Titus Alone, the first one? I can't remember. But it says Titus Grown is the first one. Titus Alone is the third one. And that's the one which is more like an SF novel, lots of metallic creatures and things. And that's one that feels like an SF novel. And that's probably a lot to do with what Peake was doing and the way that Lang Jones sort of strung it together. So those are things. But anyway, back to the plot. Isaac, this sort of winged man, sort of, not Isaac. Isaac is the chap that the wingless winged man Yagaret goes to, and there's something which happens which triggers this chain of events inadvertently, and one of the things that comes out of the experiments where Isaac is trying to sort of work out how he can get flight back for Yagaret, there's this sort of small caterpillar in his lab, and it sort of metamorphosizes into a huge terrifying predator, and it can suck the dreams and the consciousness out of all the city's sentient cities. And there's this band of outcasts, and they sort of stand between this creature and everybody else. And it's put together very good. The world building's great and everything, but it just reminds me of M. John so much. But I haven't read it for a long time, so there you go. But anyway, the unboxing, the new one. So broken binding, it looks like a shoebox, and this is a bit late coming up. By the way, this video is dedicated to Chris Hayden. Hey Chris, who's often in contact with me about these things through social media. Heck of a nice chap, and I know his hasn't arrived, and by the time you see this, his will have arrived, and mine came to slightly late. So I'm just gonna pop it open. The box is quite damaged, and I always think I should try and preserve these really, but I just chucked them out. It's not one of those things where I've got room to keep them. So I'm just going to struggle with this a moment and wrestle it probably in two. But yeah, it's the sort of urban fantasy. There's a funny term, isn't it? When it first came along, people were using it for fantasy set in cities. Well, okay, that's fair enough. And then it got appended to the sort of vampire romances and things, the contemporary ones, which have been around for a long time. There was a big wave of those about 15 years ago, but there was a wave before that as well, and the early ones got sort of rebooted. So I'm just going to fish this out, and we'll cast this aside. There you go, exciting, isn't it? And they use this packaging, which is the same sort of packaging Folio uses, and there's absolutely tons of it. So we'll have a look. So this is the Scar, as I say. I never read it. Always thought the cover was lovely. And as I think I've already said, the covers that these books have now in paperback are, absolutely horrible. They really are. So, right, so we've got a bit of layer of shrink wrap. So that comes off. And there you go. And it comes up nice and wrapped up. There's a little sticker there, which I doubt will come off. So we'll just pop this open. The ribbon. Take the ribbon from your hair. All that stuff. Chris Christopherson helped me make it through the night, all those sort of things. And I bet some people keep them in these. I mean, I wouldn't do that because, like I say, these are sort of manufactured rarities rather than the real thing. Of course, first editions of these are worth a lot more, especially in good nick, but they don't have the sprayed edge and they're not Picador. So that's why I decided, even though I'd always fancied them because they had such nice covers, that's why I decided to go for the binding ones. Now, can I get that sticker off? Let's see. Let's see if we can get the sticker off. It's the same when you're trying to get it off, like a CD or a piece of vinyl. Usually you can't do it. It's the luck of the draw. Even for the expert collector, and it's not that important. So let's see. I don't think that's going to happen. No, it's not going to happen. So we leave that. Forget that. So anyway, let's have a look at it. So there it is. The Scar, royal format. I think you'll agree that's very pretty, isn't it? Really nice. Look at that. Great stuff. Never met China. Apparently he's a heck of a nice guy. He's got good left-wing credentials. So he's really popular, and recently in the recent years he's turned to non-fiction. He's been writing books about communism, about the history of communism and things. So I would like to meet him and talk about that because I'd be very interested to see what he's got to say. And sprayed edge, there you go, very nice. Or decorated text block, as we prefer to say. And let's have a look. So I'm just going to pop the jacket off, and it's embossed just like the other one is, with this, you see, it looks like a hot air balloon crossed with a Portuguese man of war. Perhaps that's what it is. I'll have to read it to find out. There you go. And nice embossing in bronze, and it's got Picador colophon there, which is really, really good. So standard boards, and yeah, very nice. And it's interesting because the other one is a light blue and this one's a dark blue, so they're going to look very nice on the shelf together. And looking inside, this time the design's a little bit friendly, and there's the signature, which is kind of sketchy. Could be anybody, anything, but at least it's not done in a Sharpie. Don't start me on people signing books with a Sharpie. If you go to a signing, take your own pen. Take something like a Uniball. Don't let an author sign a book in a Sharpie because it looks awful. And I think it's a bad habit that's picked up, that somebody probably running a literary festival somewhere said to, you know, one of the sort of gophers, go and get some Sharpies. Now, Sharpie, of course, is a brand, so they're probably fine tipped Sharpies, but those sort of thick ones, I call them blunties at work personally. I can't stand them. I wouldn't ever sign a book with one. And if I'm running a signing session, I do not let authors sign a Sharpie. It just doesn't happen. But yeah, very nice. So let's have a look. I'm not sure how many copies of these. I think it's probably about 1,000, I think. Isn't numbered as such, but yeah, very nice. But let's get the jacket on it and we'll have a look at that. I am a sucker for blue. Blue's my favourite colour. A very old top, this which is blue, as you can see. And there we go. Really, really nice. I think you'd agree that's rather beautiful. Because it's Picador, it's very special, because, you know, Picador's not a genre imprint. What does it say on the flap? A human cargo bound for servitude in exile. A pirate city hauled across the oceans. A hidden miracle about to be revealed. This is the story of a prisoner's journey. Okay, there we go. So it doesn't mention New Corbizon, but it is part of that that thing. And very, very nice indeed. So that's great. Will I buy more from Broken Binding? I look at what they do. Of course, they're mostly contemporary books. They're usually not reissues like this. So these are kind of special, but they're very, very nice. And yes, I'm not collecting at the moment. So there you go. I'm not planning to buy any books in Paris. So there you go. So we'll see. But the odd thing is kind of drifting through. But I'm generally not collecting in terms of buying sort of, you know, expensive first editions and what have you. So that's an unboxing. There might be another one soon, actually, of a slightly different character. I was going to sort of tie them both together, but I think that will do for now. Let me know what you think of these, if you've read them. If you've not read M. John Harrison, do. If you like these, read the Draconian books. And at some point, I must do something more in depth about them because they're fantastic. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you're having a nice weekend. When is this going out? It might go out after the weekend. Anyway, you will see it when you see it. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.